how did you actually develop the concept and the brand of Raw War?
So a lot of my electives actually I did in uni helped me do so. So I did like a fashion illustration one, but the main one was a unit called visual merchandising. So basically we had to create a branding suite for a hypothetical brand. And I'd always bring up Raw War because I'd always just like scribble it onto my designs when I sketch. Do you know what it stands for?
Raw War. Well, what I think is cool is like it's the opposite. Like you turn the
Yeah.
word around, but I don't actually know what it stands for.
It's my initials. So my initials are AWR.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's very cool.
Thank you. So it was maybe like a year before I confirmed the name. I would just be like scribbling like my initials. I always loved like acronyms and things like that. So I was scribbling my initials. And then I was like, these words actually make sense. Because like when you like try to rearrange a word, most times it doesn't make any sense. And it really refined, it kind of, I think when I came to that name, it refined my style. And it was aligning with the kind of designs I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
So I used that name for that unit, created a branding suite, made the logo and everything. And my teacher could tell that I was really enjoying the branding suite. And she was like, it really aligns with what you're doing in other units. So if you really like it, I think you should register it. And I ended up registering it.
Yeah.
And that was when I started the brand.
I think that's awesome because I think for like a brand to be successful or like a creative to be successful, it kind of has to come from the creative almost. So because Raw War is like it's your name, it's kind of like not changing in a way.
Exactly. It kind of grows with me.
And it can grow with you.
For sure.
Which is really cool. And I think it can relate to a lot of, or pretty much every creative industry or creative brand. To have that, groundedness is really important. Did you figure out, like you had the words Raw War and that was your name, but were you also kind of like figure out like what does that mean in a way?
For sure. And I knew the first word, even still till now, I feel like I'm still defining what both really mean to me. But the first word raw is the most important thing to me because raw means something real and untouched sort of thing. So I think it comes with the idea of staying true to yourself. This is like the raw me. This is the real me. So I really like how the brand starts with that word. But war kind of, at the beginning, it reminded me of like military, utilitarian kind of vibe. And I'd always add a lot of additional features to my pieces that made it like have a utility vibe to it. And now that like I'm really focusing on outerwear, bomber jackets, it really unites to that final word, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like, because look at the pieces you have now, and there's lots of like repetition.
For sure.
And it's almost like when you look at military outfits, they've got like the patterns kind of all over it as well.
Yeah, exactly. You got like the camouflage vibe and a lot of like practical parts of the garment. So you got like pockets, Velcro, like straps and that sort of thing.
No, it's definitely remains consistent to the name Raw War.
Thank you.
Even like rawness, you think like maybe simplistic, bold, they have like a purpose.
Yeah.
And I can see with kind of everything you create, it's like it's like the bold text as well. And it's like expressive, but kind of grounded in its simplistic design.
For sure. Thank you. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. So I think, that kind of leads me on to that question that I wanted to ask before, which is with the ever-changing trends in the fashion industry, what is your approach to making Raw War a timeless brand, but also appealing to the current market?
Yeah. It's a really interesting concept because we were discussing it just before. And I think a lot of like the aesthetic, if you think about my brand, is very modern. So it's got a lot of the bold like graphics, and you think it aligns with the modern age, or like more so people think that the brand is only for like a young audience. But I think see, my brand has an overarching aesthetic, but I think that I still have a lot of different divisions of aesthetic to it as well. So I've got more the bold, like you could wear like a full head to toe like branded tracksuit that's like fleece, or in like previous collections from my was collection Power Culture and also Richter, I've got more of the simplistic side of it. So I've got like I work with leather or just like a plainer grey with a bit of graphics. So I feel like the brand has two sides, even though it's the same aesthetic. And those plainer garments that I've paid attention to, like fabrics, construction, that makes it more timeless. But then for it to be relevant and more eye-catching and more iconic, more to me, which I love my bold head-to-toe kind of vibe, then I've got more of the bold tracksuits and that sort of thing. So having the two...
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a 50-50.
Yeah, well, that aligns with that other collection.
That's actually like... Because I was listening to a podcast by a DJ, actually, from South Korea, and she was saying...
Is that Peggy Goo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was saying she learned from experience, she has to play 50% music for her, 50% for her audience.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the same approach, because you're designing the 50%, the iconic, the bold stuff that's like almost for you, but also for like the long-term sustainable strategy for the brand.
Yeah.
And then you've got the seasonal.
Yeah.
Did you say it's seasonal as well?
Seasonal, yeah. I'd say like more expressive kind of pieces.
Yeah, more sure. Like maybe targeted to the current market.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, because that also relates to my photography as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like with this podcast, I like to dive into different industries, because there's a lot of creative concepts that remain consistent. And with my photography, it's like I love the timeless photos, but they don't necessarily do well with like the current market in photography. So you've got to do 50-50, have stuff for you, but also stuff for the current target market, or the current trend at the time.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a recent example that I felt that was, I released my like line of masks just 2 weeks ago because of our lockdown, and I designed these like middle of last year for more marketing for an international market, because they're in a different circumstance than Australia is. And I designed a lot of like expressive ones, and then more of the plain ones. So if someone wants to invest in it, then they can wear it with more of their outfits. But so I did see people that were like, that would contact me and they'd be like, I like the more plainer one, or I like the more bolder one. So I'm giving people that two options sort of thing, and that aligns with what you mentioned as well. Yeah.
Does that have much to do with the 50-50 collection or not?
I mean, 50-50, that it sparks a thought, because 50-50 came right after I finished university, and I placed my more bolder things on a more conventionally accepted garments, like a hoodie. In the streetwear culture is very accepted and very
it's like a
high demand.
Piece,
it's a staple that when you see people in a hoodie, it's streetwear sort of thing. So I put the more bolder print on a plain garment like that, so it made a contrast. And that was the beginning of my transition from expressive university designs to more of retail. And I think I'm still learning that concept, really. And I think Richter is starting to really hit it on the nail with it. So I'm starting to...
Yeah, I feel like Richter was more contemporary.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think the main concept, because my collections grow with me, so it comes with experience. And I think Richter came while I started working in retail, because I'd always want my brand to be in retail, but that was my first experience of actually being in a store for a full day and watching the behaviour of customers, especially in Perth. And I began to question in myself and kind of analyse to be like, if my brand was on that rack, what would it look like? And that's when I started really brainstorming, putting all my pictures out and refining things. Because I still want to have the more bolder, like full printed tracksuits, bomber jackets, but I want the more retail based things as well.
Yeah.
So having the 50-50 in balance. For sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good approach to like kind of maintaining the original idea in the brand, but also you do want it to be commercially successful.
Exactly.
Because that's how you can keep doing what you want to do.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. And where's Raw War at now in 2021?
Right now, it's been a pretty busy year already. It's only been 2 months. So I work 50-50 again in Perth and London. So at the moment, Richter is with a PR company in London where they're promoting in that environment, which I think is really relevant for the aesthetic.
How does that work? Because I actually don't know how that works.
So basically my collection is with them at the moment.
Yeah.
And it comes back and forth sort of thing. So they market it to people in that area.
So by collection, do you mean they actually have the garments there?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
So they've been sent and they can be sent back whenever I need them. So basically they spread it to, I want to make a strong focus on musicians as well. As you would have seen, I work with a lot of musicians, and I think the way my pieces are worn during performance is a whole nother level, which I really enjoy. So basically they're spreading it through individuals wearing it and also exposing it to press and retails over there as well. And then over here, I focus on ready-to-wear and custom order products, while also working with influencers, creatives, and now working with retail spaces here. So I just released masks with one off, and there's more to come with that one as well.